fandom, wrestling fandom, all that. I wanted to be there very badly, but it would have been absolutely irresponsible of me to do so. But yeah, man, it was an all timer.
So when it first was announced, I was like, I'm gonna go. And then the tickets sold so fast that I was like, the only way I'm gonna be able to get a ticket is on resale. And I don't want a cheap seat, right? So I was like, oh, I guess I'll out on that one. And then I want to say, was it Thursday or was it Wednesday? Lyric Wrestling posted a tweet saying that she had another ticket, and I sent it to you. I was like, which one of us is gonna get this ticket? which one of us is gonna get this ticket and pay the money to go to the fucking mountains of North Carolina where they ain't shit around and they have to pay for an overpriced flight to get to the fucking Greensboro airport because it's a shitty airport, or by shitty I mean small. And then I was like, I looked at the prices for the flying in the Greensboro, and I was like, nah, man, let me see what Charlotte hitting for. Charlotte, it was cheaper. Okay, how far is it? I gotta get a rental. That ain't worth it. Atlanta, same thing. And you know what?
Atlanta, like a 5-hour drive.
Right. I was like, it just ain't meant to be.
Yeah.
It just ain't meant to be. I'll just watch it. I'll just watch it at home. I will say this. I did have some who flies to Greensboro? I mean, ACC teams that are there for the ACC tournament every year. That's it. That's why it exists. If not for the ACC tournament and NWA and Jim Crack Promotions, that shit might just be a hangar, not an airport.
Look, that shit might as well be like, you know how they say flyover country? Like, that's just like drive-through country. Right, yeah, we trying to get to DC and we trying to get to Georgia or Florida.
Yeah. Like I saw, like while watching the show, like they're looking, spots that are especially because of Darby. Shout out to Darby for being up on that ladder. I keep seeing like the banners for, like, I see Florida State, I see Duke, I see Clemson or whatever. I was like, wow, they keep them up year round because what else is there to have up there? But yeah, man, this was an incredible show, and I have some extra commentary to give from my little cousin Kay and I. Actually, this was the first time I ever like watched any live wrestling show.
Let's go,
my cousin Kaysen, who's 11 years old, and I gotta say, like, he loved the nicknames. He loves the American Dragon. He loved that nickname. He was like, they're hitting each other so hard. He believed in what was happening with Kingston and Danielson. We'll get into it, but I thought it was a great show. Tons of fun. I didn't really pay close attention to like the first 3 matches or something like that, but after that, I really had a lot of fun, especially the last 3 matches.
Yeah. It was,
and it felt like they finally, did the right thing as far as saying, hey, the 3 matches you care about the most are going to be at the end.
And shout out to all of them for taking the challenge too, because like you look at the world title match, right? You're going on before Sting, who at this point everybody's waiting for that main event, and then you're going after Ospreay and Takeshita. We already knew what that was about to be, and then that shit goes off. Like taking the challenge, like, and balling out and doing something in their own unique way to stand out. I thought it was really like a line in the sand type show. Like,
yeah, sink or swim.
Like, where it was like, yeah, man, the energy has shifted. The energy has changed. Ospreay has come in here and has set the level, I think. Like, yo, if you're not willing to go in there and compete at this level, and then the world title match right after it as well, and then, like, with the Young Bucks and Sting and Darby in the main event, it's like, this is, like, the shit, like, that's gonna get you on these shows. Like, unless there's some other agenda that requires you to get on there. Like, but, like, this roster's too good. It's too deep. And these shows, how often, like, this was not World's End. Like, where, I don't know what happened with World's End, really. But
Well, I
this is
mean,
a
it got blown up a little bit because of the Golden
yeah.
Jets thing and Omega's health. It got blown up to an extent, yeah.
Yeah, it got blown up. It got, we don't have an MJF main event at the end of the show.
Right.
There's like a lot of factors where it felt like, yo, this is the AEW that they're capable of being, and that can be any night they want to. They have, like, I saw a Darby Allin versus Jay White announced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a nice match right there. And then I thought to myself, I was like, they have 100 combos of these, like literally, like I could just reach and I could literally pull a goddamn bag out, put everyone's name in it from the roster, grab 2 names, and get an incredible match. Pretty much 9 out of 10 times.
Rich, Guevara's not on the show. Darby was in the main event. Like, think of how many people they have not wrestled singles match with that were in the Continental Classic.
Right.
And that's just Darby and Guevara, right? Let's throw in Phoenix, who hasn't wrestled most of those people. Let's throw in Kyle O'Reilly, has wrestled most people. Roddy, that hasn't wrestled most people. Like, this is like what WWE like feared in a way, or was concerned about when like New Japan got very popular in 2015, and then there was just a collection of talent that like wasn't signed up to WWE at the time, that was on that, no television time, but were veterans, experienced, crafted their trades amongst American indies. And that's why Triple H and Vince and all of them said, let's sign all these guys up and put them in the warehouse. And they staved off a lot of it, right? They staved a lot of it with, AJ Styles off the table, Nakamura off the table. New Japan never, never really figured it all out until it was too late and AEW got started. But like, it was 4 years had passed, and then like so many of the American guys were signed to WWE and NXT, floundering on the main roster after having a year to 2 year run on NXT or whatever else, and all that kind of stuff. And then like the elite departures. And Tony Khan and Chris Jericho and John Moxley, just being disillusioned with WWE at the end of his wit's end, more or less helped save American Pro Wrestling outside of WWE. Maybe saves too hard, but like basically blew it up to a level that it had never been before. And I am very, very grateful for this show. And I was going to save this like for the Sting part, but like seeing the Sting part, man, like I'm so fucking happy that this thing exists. And like, not only do I want this for Sting and happy I got it, like I want this for the other legends that are still around and still have made names for themselves outside of WWE. Even if they have a notable WWE run, I want them to leave WWE and then get this same thing for themselves. AJ Styles, you need to leave and get this for yourself. Rey Mysterio Jr., you need to leave and get this for yourself. You fucking deserve it. I was over the moon after this. I really was. It was one of the happiest, maybe the happiest I've been with pro wrestling since I left Japan.
Yeah, it was. It was so many people trying to make a statement and carve real estate, and it felt like I had put some words out there, trying to ask around what the vibe was like, backstage. It was like no toxicity, tons of legends were around, giving great advice to people, putting the young guys over, just a great feeling backstage. And I think that stuff translates to the ring, I think. And when this shit is firing on all cylinders, like they're going to rewrite the history of match or show quality in this country and anywhere else. Really, like there's enough older guys that can still hang. There's enough 40-year-old guys that can still hang. There's enough 30-year-old guys that can still hang. Then we start talking about the sub 30-year-old guys. Like this promotion's set up on every level to just consistently give you just great wrestling. Like, and I couldn't be more proud to be a fan of this company, especially like seeing like how they handle Sting. And Sting, it was never about being undefeated for Sting. We didn't really necessarily like care about that. Like, it was just like,
I never thought about it until
it happened. Like,
holy shit, he is 28. He is 28. No, huh?
Yeah, and it's like, all right, cool. And then like he wins, and it's like perfectly fine. Like, and at the like they're bringing his kids in there. They're dressed up, in different versions of him. I thought it was nice that the video that they played ahead of the match, and just the dignity I think that Sting was handled with throughout this whole time. They didn't try to embarrass him. They treated him like a real live, like, legendary figure, and really I think made people reconsider Sting's career, what he's meant. We kind of talked about it last week.
Yeah.
With like, he's always been the alternative, like someone there that represents that, like, and I think I saw Adam from Big Audio Nightmare who was talking about, this is a win for Jim Crockett Promotions and WCW and their fans, like, that were basically had to live the last 20, 25 years with this bastardized version of their history that was owned by a rapist.
Right. It was only done, and it was only given like half decent tributes by a guy that spent most of his career trying to break guys that were coming in from WCW after WCW. WCW killed Triple H. Like, Triple H is the only person in that company that bothered to give any of a fuck about Jim Crockett Promotions in WCW.
Yeah,
the only one.
And this night, like, it was like the rise of the Terminators with like, we back, like, WCW wrestling, Crockett Promotions, like, anybody that was a fan through that, you saw all the old guys, you saw Mad MTA, Ricky Steamboat there, Nikolai Volkov sitting there. Lex Luger was getting rolled around. They didn't show him on camera, but they saw like pictures of Lex out there. It just felt, it was such a special night, and I saw a question that was in the pile about who would get the next one of these, and you mentioned some great names like AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio.
Oh, I got one. It was mentioned in here that I didn't mention, but I got one.
Who?
I was gonna mention it because of where we are as far as his career and everything, and it's like, hey man, like, sooner or later, next 2-3 years, just like need to take it to Winnipeg, get Jericho one of these.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he has another type of renaissance in him. Maybe, but if he doesn't, he needs to look towards getting out sooner than later.
I was gonna say, like, Sting, like, they don't make the quality of people like Sting that is going to have that kind of approval like that. As great as Jericho is, doesn't have that approval like across, whatever, for whatever reason.
I mean, forget what happened earlier this year, but like, his politics is all over the place, right? And then you have the part where the Benoit stuff, where he's still like there to uplift try to preserve the legacy of his murdering friend. Like, there's a lot with Jericho. There's a lot, good and bad, and that makes it complicated because people, want to just quickly dismiss people off of not being perfect or whatever they're or being quote unquote like completely unproblematic, and like that's not how people are, because that's not human nature.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that.
And like with Sting, it's like, yeah, like Zekamaki brings up, Sting is in a rare company like Terry Funk. People only have good things to say about you. I wish Bret Hart could have got one of these. Same. I wish, like, it's like you don't really know who is going to be like that. We don't know when the next one is going to be. So like,
right.
These guys are still writing a lot of their stories, and it's a lot, man. Like, we did.
I guess in theory, in the realistic theory, I guess you would say it would be Danielson, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna retire. So, like, he's I
think he'll always be AEW or whatever else, but I don't. As far as like his in-ring career, who knows?
Yeah. So yeah, let's